This Atlanta and Mid-Ohio weekend recap edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Circa Sports. Circa Sports is back with their Circa Survivor and Circa Millions contest. $14 million up for grabs. Get all the detail at circasports.com.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Woo! We are here.
Wait, hold on. Oh, red flag. It's raining. It's raining again.
This show is now under a red flag for rain. We will start again in about 45 minutes. We'll see you then. Talking Heads will keep you posted and updated as the day goes on. It's the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Safe, warm, and dry in our studios. But, Cody, did Mother Nature just not get the memo? It's July. For God's sakes, is there supposed to be this much rain in July? I am sick of it. I'm done with rain. Me and them, we're good. We're done. There's no more for me.
What's crazy too is like it's hard to complain about it because there's been such a drought everywhere, and it's like we need all this. We're like, it's been raining here. I swear we've gotten more rain in the last week and a half than we have in like the last 10 years. I'm pretty sure that's accurate, but it's like, Jesus, a lot of rain all at once, and it's every NASCAR track and every race. Like, can you just leave what about like Monday through Friday when we don't have the trucks on Friday? Like, rain as much as you want. Just leave us alone on Saturday and Sunday. Jeepers. Is it asking too much for that, Rod?
Well, listen, that or they just move it out here to California throughout the entire wet part of whatever, because there's just no, I mean, it hasn't rained out here.
I'm pretty sure it was snowing when they were at Auto Club, so I'm just saying.
That's true. It was. So never mind. I take it all back.
Even California is not safe from NASCAR.
No, we're not. And at Sonoma, right, there was a little bit of a threat of something, but I don't think it was rain. It was
if your area, your region is affected by severe droughts, I believe NASCAR is taking the highest bidder to bring their series to your area and solve all your drought problems.
I mean, we saw it in Chicago. We saw it in Mid-Ohio. I mean, Atlanta started to get rain there at the end. It's like, is anything sacred? That's what I want.
This is actually just a little fun fact for you. This was the first time since 2003 that back-to-back Cup Series races have been shortened. It seems like there's been other ones in between there, here and there, but not actually back-to-back. So first time, obviously, Chicago was cut short because of darkness. Wasn't even rain, although rain pushed it into the darkness, so you can blame it there. But then obviously, as we'll get into Atlanta here, same case. But yeah, although again, we'll get into it as well. But I think we can thank the rain for some of the racing we saw this weekend. So I think that the rain actually helped the product on the track be freaking amazing this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, listen, all things considered, I definitely think that there was some good racing all weekend long. I really can't fault the product on the track, but I mean, obviously it just played so much of a factor into the last few weeks. And it's frustrating from a betting perspective because, you know, you're out here and you put these models together and you do all this research, and then all of a sudden the rain comes and it's like, hey man, screw the last several hours that you put into actually putting this show together, because we don't care about you. We just, you know, we're going to dump all over everything, figuratively and literally.
I thought that for sure. There was a point in time in this race where I thought to myself, Kyle Larson's going to win this, because I talked shit all week about how horrible he is at super speedways. And I always say he makes it 95% of the race, which he didn't this week, by the way. But and then that's when he wrecks. And if they didn't get that far, I was concerned he was going to make it. And luckily, Super Speedway Kyle Larson showed up and did Super Speedway Kyle Larson things.
Well, it's funny because even you started to buy into your own hype where you were like, oh my God, is this the week that he actually does something? And what's funny is get in the Discord. You guys, if you're not in the Discord yet, you are completely missing out on this whole, it was an evolution of like, I could see Cody's gears just sort of going. And then I was like, damn, he's drinking his own Kool-Aid as far as, is he really going to do it well this week? And then all of a sudden, we'll talk about it in a second. Kyle Larson does what he does. And then Cody's like, oh yeah, that's right. That's why I said
when you could just see like the changing moods throughout the like I'm celebrating Kyle Larson. And then a second later, it's like, oh, there goes Corey LaJoie, gets fucked up by the 43. And then there's people saying the 43 car shouldn't be referred to by his name anymore, like the 11 in Xfinity. And it's a great time. It's you got to get through. You got to get in there during the races for sure, because I mean, great conversation throughout the week and guys talking about lines and who they're betting on and all that stuff. But during the races, it's rather entertaining to see everyone reacting just solely based on which bets are either cashing now or losing now.
Yeah, and what I love the most though is that as the live bets start to fly into, everybody's posting what they're doing live, and you get an opportunity to just follow people's thought processes through the race, right? Like who we think. There was a lot of people tossing something on Truex for a little bit, and there was some people tossing stuff on even Cole Custer at that point. But it was fun to pay attention to and have a good time through. So if you're not in the Discord right now, sg.pn/Discord, get in there, have some fun with us. We've got some races to break down, but I want to take a quick second to tell you about Circa Sports. Circa Millions and Circa Survivor are back. There's $14 million up for grabs, guaranteed money. You don't want to miss out on this. If you want to play Circa Millions, get 5 NFL picks against the spread each week to choose from. And Circa Survivor, just like any other Survivor pool out there, pick from a different money line winner each week. Hope you continue on and survive. Here's how you do it. Go to Las Vegas, enter this contest, and then you can play from anywhere probably in the world, but anywhere in the United States for sure. So when you're in Vegas, go enter, and then it doesn't matter if your state's legally gambling authorized or if they condone gambling in your state. It doesn't matter. You can still play Circa and have some fun with us. Plus, if you're out in Vegas in the last week of August, I may actually go do that. You're going to get a chance to meet Sean and Ryan over there from the Mothership, the Sports Gambling Podcast proper. So you don't want to miss out on that. A couple of great guys. Just tell them the NASCAR Gambling Podcast sent you, Rod and Cody. Want to meet them, and we'll get them out there. Circasports.com for all the details. Go to circasports.com and figure out what you would do with the money. I know what I would do with the money. I would probably just do nothing but this all day long. So have some fun with you guys and not worry about anything else in the world. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Well, that would be a great time, wouldn't it? Speaking of the Discord, I just jumped over there too, and there's been a meme created. The official Eric Jones Hater Club officially taking applicants. So shout out to Jay Fair 8 as he has set that up. I believe Ty Tiger was the one during the race commenting that he was no longer saying his name. So I'm sure he'll be signing up for that rather quickly.
So then has joined in the Beep Club, right? Is that where we're
there
at?
There you go. I think, yeah, I'm not quite well, although he did take out multiple of my bets this week. Ugh, man, it's just, man, this is, hey, super speedway racing, that's what you get. But how about Corey Heim, Rod? That's what I'm happy about.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely get to Corey Heim because he is the guy that was the champion of the Truck Series. This race already, again, it started in the rain. I mean, that's the thing. It started in the rain, and it wasn't just like, this happy little drizzle. It started where full on F1 spray, like rooster spray and all that stuff. It was. Well,
was it the very first? I think it was the very first green flag where they threw the green flag and then they threw the yellow flag after like 2 turns because they were like, oh, not yet.
Yeah. Well, and somebody spun off, which is exactly what happened. Like,
well, they were spinning off in the formation. I mean, to go F1 on you, the formation laps. They were guys spinning out before the race was even going, which was and that made it exciting. I'm all for rain on road courses. it throws the extra wrench in there. Then it goes to the dry, and it just changes throughout the day, which is makes it fun. But man, how about Mid Ohio too? Like, what a great race! Like, if you remember back to last year, it was Kligerman and Zane Smith battling it out at the very end, all the way down to the end. And like, again, we've seen this lately more often than we haven't. Like, nobody really took a huge lead. There was a couple times where guys would get out to 2 or 3 seconds, but not any more than that. Nobody ran away with this. Different people up front, teammates taking each other out up front, which was great, and just all kinds of crazy stuff throughout this race. So, man, it was a good show put on by the trucks over there in Mid Ohio.
I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. Obviously, like you alluded to, Corey Heim, the winner, leading 30 laps of this race. There were only 4 total lap leaders in this race. It was Corey Heim, it was Ben Rhodes, poor Thor Sports guys. It was Ty Majeski, and then Matt Crafton actually stole one up there as well. But the thing about it, this 67 lap race, 23 were under caution. It was very difficult to get a whole lot of stuff going because you would get it going, especially early on. Like
sand trap.
Sand trap was a play. Although, man, hey, hats off, and we'll talk about the Grays in a second, but hats off to Tanner Gray. Dude, he rode that thing.
How is that not a Toyota Tundra commercial? Like, just put that in the commercial and like, look what our trucks can do. Like, that was impressive how he got through that sand, and not like he barely snuck in there. It's not like he went through the entire beach sand trap. Like, it was very, very impressive by Gray there.
As my friend Shooter McGavin would say, he spent more time in the sand than David Hasselhoff. Yeah, it was insane, man. That was a lot of fun to watch. And then the transition from the soaking wet track to the drier track. I don't want to say that. Right. It was completely dry.
They said 10 seconds a lap. They were going faster when it got to dry based on how much it was raining. They were going that much slower. So just the combination of having to do it in the rain, then it dries up, knowing when to start pushing without pushing too much, man, just is super impressive and made for a fun. All 3 of these races this weekend were absolutely amazing races. I enjoyed all of them thoroughly. And again, the different disciplines, I don't mind having different series at different tracks where you get completely different styles of racing to kind of balance out the whole weekend.
Well, and it's funny because, we talked about how Atlanta was just a crapshoot. It just felt like this was a crapshoot as well. I mean, it shouldn't have been as chaotic as it was, but given the weather, given all the stuff that happened up until then, it was almost like the entire weekend was just good luck, everybody. And heads up. So Absolutely. Speaking of that, there were bets that we placed. There were bets that we cashed. Cody, let's go over our bets from the weekend at Mid Ohio.
Yeah, we'll start off. I had Christian Eckes over Ben Rhodes plus 115. Good portion of this race. A couple of my takes here were not looking too good. Ben Rhodes, Ty Majeski, very fast. They looked very good. I don't really know what happened, if they just used each other up and got tired of each other, what the deal was, but obviously took each other out, and then that cost both of them. Rhodes ended up fighting back, or both of them fought back. Rhodes ends up finishing 5th, Majeski in 7th, but Christian Eckes finishes 3rd. And that's good enough to cash the plus money head-to-head, Rod.
Boy, and Eckes it wasn't a factor until the end. That was the thing. Like, it was all Ben Rhodes and Crafton and Majeski were battling it out, and then they took each other out, and, it kind of opened the door.
Yeah, he was, like, kind of just that hanging out in that second group of guys, right? There was those basically 4 guys that were up front that looked good. One Zane Smith got up there, I guess, but it was Majeski, it was Rhodes, it was Heim. Those were kind of the main guys hanging out up front. And then, Eckes was just kind of hanging right behind him, finished 5th in both stages. Not really too much of a factor, but jumps up and grabs a podium finish, if you will.
I love it. Well, speaking of a podium finish, my next bet, by one spot,
heartbreaking.
Stuart Friesen did not get the 3rd place finish. He finished 4th, but listen, the guy, you got to give him credit. He started 35th and just muscled his way. I wonder if he'd have started 34th, if that would have been, that'd have been
enough to make the difference.
I'm just saying, like, finished 35th, finished 4th, started 35th, rather finished 4th. Maybe if it was a 34th place start, you'd have had a 3rd place finish. But look, Friesen was a strong truck. It made all the right moves all damn day long. just so frustrating that he was edged out of a third place finish. Handicapping was there, just the finish wasn't.
Yeah, to be one spot away from cashing a plus 750 on a positional finish, like that was a great call by you. And man, it's heartbreaking to miss it by one, especially having to start in the back. Though we saw it with Zane Smith, like he got damaged multiple times. It was so tough, especially with trucks being all over, going through the weather, no live pit stops to gain advantage. There was a little bit of strategy here and there, kind of based on how things fell, but nothing really, because they let them do the fuel and stuff, but nothing that was really too crazy. So, yeah, just the whole thing for him to be able to fight through all of that after a horrible start and get all the way up to fourth, super impressive. So close to cashing that one. That was pretty sad. I had Marco Andretti top 5 plus 350. Andretti didn't look bad at all. I mean, he came in and he was 16th in practice, which wasn't too bad, but laid down a good qualifying lap, started in 7th. And then he just kept getting in bad positions, right? He ended up off the track multiple times. He got spun out a couple of times. So things didn't quite go his way. Ends up in 19th. Maybe if there's not the weather factor, it's a little bit of a different story. Maybe he's able to keep it a little cleaner without the weather. But again, a plus 350, maybe it was a stretch to think he was going to get a top 5 in his first Truck Series start, but he'd had plenty of experience at Mid-Ohio. He had the IndyCar experience. Obviously, we know he's a great driver. I would probably take this one again.
And I don't, yeah, you're right. I don't feel bad about it because with Andretti, it was just a matter of him being able to stay out of trouble. And, you know, with everything happening around him and your first Truck Series start, it's kind of hard to keep, because again, these open wheel guys and these guys that come, they're not used to the beating and banging and the just sheer physicality of driving in the NASCAR series. And they say it all the time. So definitely not a bad bet on your part. You know what else is not a bad bet? Playing Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy. We're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes. Plus, Underdog Pick'em is a great way to get down on your favorite MLB and NFL season player props. So many ways to win over on Underdog, and Underdog is available in absolutely, positively many states. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. It's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. All right. Yes, my next bet felt like it was going to cash. I really honestly felt like Tyler Ankrum was going to get me a top 5 finish. He did not. He got a top 10 finish, but he was playing around in that top 5 for so much of this race that I thought, oh man, we are locked in on this top 5. He had to come back a couple times from a couple of mishaps that he had. And, you know, again, another one of those guys that kind of got caught up in something that wasn't necessarily his fault. He was playing around there in those dangerous zones. And unfortunately for him, he just didn't outlast it. Looked good. And then just started falling back. I mean, it was toward the end of the race where he just kind of found himself sliding back, and unfortunately just didn't get that top 5 finish. He was running around in the top 10 there at the end of stage 2. He was in 7th place there at the end of stage 2, which again gave you hope that he would pile up those couple of spots he needed to get in the top 5. But man, I'm telling you, it was Crafton and Rhodes and Majeski. They were so tough all week or all day long. And it was hard to break into that with Heim and Zane. So for Ankrum to have finished 5th, he would have had to really keep the pace that he had all race long. And I don't know what happened, but he kind of lost it there at the end.
Yeah, this was still a great call. I mean, what a weekend he had. He won the ARCA Series race. I think that was Friday evening that they ran that. Won that. Great start to the weekend. And man, they continued to say his name all day long on the broadcast. He was definitely showing up, showing good. Another reason we need top 10 bets for the Truck Series, because this would have been an easy plus 100, plus 125, maybe on a top 10, probably somewhere in that range. Would have taken that all day long. Top 5, I think, was still a great call. Didn't quite pan out at the end, but he was putting himself in position. Plus 275, I think that's what you can ask for. I had Corey Heim to win Group E, plus 270, and to get a top 5 at plus 100. He won the race, so obviously he did catch both of these. Carson Hocevar was in that group. what a rough day for Hocevar. And actually, for Hocevar to come back and finish, where did he end up in? What, 12th, I think? Yeah, 12th, which was outstanding for him to be able to rebound like that. He had a rough day. But Majeski and Rhodes, I mean, those guys were tough, and probably maybe one of them should have won this race until they decided to take each other out. But worked out nicely. So cashed Corey Heim to win Group E, plus 270, and then the top 5 plus 100. That was free money. He was had that one little slip up early in the race where I was like, oh no, here we go. Didn't lose too many spots though. Quickly recovered, and then he looked very, very good from there on out to cash all those.
ThorSport pulled that meme where it's the Scooby-Doo thing where it's ThorSport, but you pull it back and it's Junior Motorsports underneath the mask. They were like,
oh yeah. Well, and did you see the ARCA series, the finish in the ARCA series race?
I didn't get a
The
chance
day
to watch
before. So I don't remember the team, but somehow this teammate got mad, and so he's like purposely going very slow around the track. The leaders pass him, and Dean Thompson, who races in the Truck Series, was this guy's teammate and was like battling for like 5th or 6th or something. And he goes to pass his teammate who's getting lapped, and the teammate just cranks the wheel and takes both into the sand trap, like for a clear retaliation, obviously, for a team car in the ARCA series where it's like likely his dad is probably paying for his ride anyway. Like your dad just paid how much money for that? You're probably going to get suspended. Your team owner's going to hate you because you just took his car. You both damaged both cars. You took like just complete retaliation. You'll have to look that clip up, but it's just like, because I didn't see the race, but I saw the clip and I'm like, well, I wonder what this guy did. And it's like, whoa, holy shit. Like he just flat out took him out on the last lap. It was, yeah, I don't even know the backstory. I don't know what happened during the race. Not happy with him though. So yeah, everybody's been watching Junior Motorsports from early in the season and deciding to take it into their own hands.
Oh my God. All right. Well, yes, definitely the Corey Heim love shown through this weekend, and obviously cashed a ton of Cody's bets. I'm so pissed about my next one. It was the battle of the brothers, Tanner versus
Try to talk you out of it, Rod.
But listen, the whole day long, this thing was cashing, and it didn't matter how many times Tanner slid through the gravel. It didn't matter how many times Taylor got taken out. Look, both of these guys had their fun in the sand. I mean, they obviously thought this was a beach vacation in mid-Ohio. It wasn't necessarily a race. But, you know, again,
the Gray brothers go to the beach.
Gray brothers beach bash. But yeah, I mean, listen, all day long, pretty much all day long. And there was like a spot or two where Taylor took it, but Tanner was ahead. Tanner was in the top 10. Tanner was running ahead of Taylor. Taylor was a lap down. And then all of a sudden, just after all the millions of cautions, Taylor gets back on the lead lap. And then at the very end, it was literally them together. Like at the very last few laps, Tanner and Taylor were right there. And guess who was in front? It was Tanner. All of a sudden, I watched the final ticker. Taylor freaking grabs 15th place. Tanner's in 20th. I don't know what the hell happened at the end, but I want my money back because Tanner was cashing this bet the whole damn race, Cody, the whole damn race. And then it just,
that'll teach you to bet against my guy, Taylor Gray. I don't even know which one's my guy.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, plus money for what you ended up getting on, how Tanner was ahead most of the race. Like, it looks like it was the right bet in retrospect. Didn't cash at the end there, but can't blame you too much on that. I had Ford to win at plus 100. Obviously, Ford did not win, but this bet was ideal. Corey Heim won. I had him at 7-1, so I didn't care anyways. I thought Zane Smith was going to win this race. He did not, but what did I tell you? This also gives you coverage on Ben Rhodes, led a lot of laps. On Majeski, led a lot of laps. You read off the lap leaders, right? One Toyota, which ended up winning the race, which we had at 7-1 anyways, and 3 other Ford drivers. That was why I took this bet. I would take this bet again. It's a perfect hedge in case a guy like Heim doesn't win. Perfect hedge in case Zane doesn't win and one of those other Fords does. So really played this perfectly. Even though it didn't cash, I understand. But for all the situations and scenarios that were sitting up, it was likely going to be either Corey Heim won this or a Ford was going to win it. I mean, I know that Eckes ended up sneaking in there in third and Friesen in fourth in their Chevy and Toyotas, but all day long it was a Ford day for the most part until Heim took it there late. So I would definitely place that bet again.
You know which bet I place again? Winning truck number under 35.5 again, plus 145. I mean, listen, at this point, like I said, that's the only bet I'm ever going to give out ever. And we're going to say goodnight. I told you
Does it again.
I told you it was a hedge against if Zane Smith doesn't end up winning this one, which is of course what we both were considered a lock there. But I said, hey, if it doesn't happen, it's going to come from underneath that 35.5. And sure enough, Corey Heim, number 11, under 35.5. Just
Cashes
saying.
again. Yep. And plus money. So that was a great call. We both had Zane to win plus 250. I mean, I still second place again. So that's 5 road courses in a row, first or second place. It's hard to beat that. He had a horrible day, ends up having to start in the back, gets through some damage. It's just a rough day. Still finds himself there at the end. We get one more caution. He might take it to Heim. Who knows? Didn't quite have the truck for him, I don't think. But not even at plus 250 was not a bad bet. And you always take an insurance policy, Rod, because, like I said on the podcast last week, if Zane Smith does not win this, it's going to be Corey Heim plus 700. He was already down to plus 450 on some books when we gave that out. So hopefully you got in on that at the 7-1 number. Qualified on the pole, was the fastest driver, was fourth the fastest in practice. So he was going to be up there the entire day. That one slip up there early had me sweating for a bit, obviously. And then Rhodes and Majeski take each other out. So maybe got a little help, but we'll take all the help we can get when it cashes 7-1. Had Corey Heim. Man, I love this guy. He's made me a lot of money this season, and I'm going to keep betting on him going forward.
Yeah, he definitely ran the hell out of that race. And I mean, he was the strongest truck by far, I think. Even with Rhodes and Majeski doing Rhodes and Majeski things, I still think Corey Heim would have found a way to pass both of them at the end because
he was fast and he's so freak good. It's again one of the best. I'm not going to give him over Zane. Zane, I think, is still the best driver, but the next best driver, the 1B to Zane's 1A, and the next best truck, maybe the best truck, maybe even better than Zane's. I mean, his results lately have been much better than Zane's too. So, just a great day for Corey Heim.
Well, my insurance policy was Carson Hocevar. We documented how frustrating of a day it was for him. Not even really a factor in the lead pack in this one. So at plus 460, it was disappointing. But of course, when you cash at plus 700, nothing matters. it's all gravy from there. All right, that's
he was second fastest in practice too. It just things went south very early for him. Got that damage early and then was multiple laps down. Fought his way back, respectable finish, but rough day for Hocevar.
And it's hard on those road courses too to get that kind of damage that he got early and not suffer for it. You know, so the trucks that were up front didn't take a whole lot of damage.
That was the thing. Like all these trucks look like they just got on with Bristol dirt after all the sand. Like Heim's truck was almost perfect, like not even a scratch on the thing. And guys like Zane Smith, guys like Hocevar that had to fight their way through the field, Stuart Friesen, like they all had so much damage, and guys were spinning out left and right and going off the track, and like it's like a war zone trying to get through the back of that field compared to just being up front all day. So again, we cashed it on Heim, so that's really all that matters.
I'm sure a lot of those drivers are going to be happy to watch that go in the wayside and pick up next week. And so we are as well. Let's turn our attention to Atlanta, the Xfinity race, the Alsco Uniforms 250 over there in Atlanta. Another exciting race. And yet, for me, it was pretty chaotic. I'm telling you right now, not necessarily thrilled with the outcome of this, but we'll talk about it here in a second.
Yeah, man. I had a 40-1 to win this race that won a stage. I had a 22-1 to win this race that won a stage. And then again, in one foul swoop, 3 of my 4 all get taken out. And then my one that seemed like it had the best shot, Rod, supposedly runs out of gas or thought he was running out of gas and didn't help his teammate, which was great. I loved that he didn't help his teammate. boy, just interesting. I did not see John Hunter winning this. And Bob confirmed on Twitter today, John Hunter Nemechek, the first driver to win on the old Atlanta surface and the new Atlanta surface.
Kudos to John Hunter
Fun
Nemechek.
fact for you there.
Hey, but we had this entire race for 98% of it circled. Like this whole thing.
Which means we had the whole thing 100% circled, because we tell you time and time again, anything can happen on super speedways, and it's going to be chaotic and it's going to be hectic. And look what happened.
Yeah. And John Hunter Nemechek, only 3 laps that he led this entire race, and it didn't matter because those were the 3 that mattered. Those are the ones that got him the win. Just a car that was struggling all day long. Even the announcers were like, man, John Hunter Nemechek looks like he's battling the whole thing all day long. Well, he was, and it doesn't matter how much you battle, as long as you keep yourself around the front, anything can and will happen, and you can be winning in overtime on this track. So again, I was so frustrated so many times over the course of this race. I mean, from 29th on down, did not finish this race. So 9 cars did not finish this race at all. And that's super speedway racing for you. Yeah.
Yep. That's super speedway racing for you. I had Ryan Sieg top 5 plus 500. Holy fast. Holy hell. He looked good. He won. Which stage did he win? He won stage 1. No, he won stage 2. No, he didn't win.
No, he didn't win any stages.
Oh, I was thinking he won stage 2, but he was up front. Yeah. He was in 3rd place in stage 2, was running so well. Again, was a guy they were talking about constantly on the broadcast, running up there all day, got swept up in it, and that's what happens. But at 5-1, I would place it again. I will place it again next time we go to a super speedway. I bet on Ryan Sieg every time. Hopefully they don't adjust his number like they usually don't. I'm going to continue to take him because he is a very, very good super speedway racer. Prove that again this weekend. Again, this didn't cash, but that's just super speedway racing for you.
Yeah, I mean, he led 15 laps. He was swapping with Sheldon Creed there at the end of stage 2 for the lead, and it was him, it was Creed, it was him, and ultimately Creed did win the second stage. But yeah, the whole pit strategy thing for Sieg worked out well, and I was curious to see what it would have been like the rest of the time for it. So 87 laps he officially turned in, but yeah, I mean, even he was kind of pissed off about it. Obviously, his radio. It's not Morse code, but it definitely felt like it at times. In fact, he wrote the beat button more than I do when we talk about various drivers. So yeah, again, it was frustrating for that very instance. I had Josh Berry as a top 3 car. Oh, come on, man. Berry was around there, and then all of a sudden he wasn't, and he disappeared so fast. Was it it wasn't a pit penalty. He started 4th, right? Was fantastic. Led 34 laps of this race. I thought to myself, this is going to be great. This is going to be solid. Even if he doesn't win, he's probably going to stick around in the top 3. And then didn't. Like, it was just.
He was up there out 2nd in stage 1, 4th in stage 2. Like another guy that was up front all day until he wasn't.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I knew that he was going to be good. I knew that he was going to be fast. And once pit strategies started to fluctuate, once people started getting into each other there, especially toward the beginning the beginning of stage 3 is when it really started to get hectic. I was like, gosh, well, we're done. Barry's not going to be a top 3 car.
Again, that's how it goes, right? That's just what super speedway racing is. I had Brett Moffitt to be a top 5 plus 430, ends up in 11th. So, I mean, again, that's not too far out of the top 5, especially the super speedway. He was kind of so all day. He started back in 27th, so didn't start great, but he's kind of hanging out middle of the pack all day, which was where you want him to be. You kind of hope things fall his way at the end. They didn't, unfortunately, and he ends up in 11th, but plus 430, another guy I'm going to continue to target on super speedways because he's proven time and time again he's good at super speedways, and the results aren't always there, but another guy that's going to give you a chance every time we come to this type of track.
I love it. All right. I had John Hunter Nemechek as a top 5 car. Last time I checked, first is top 5. So that one counts.
Yep. Confirmed. That is inside the top 5.
Plus 170 on Caesars. So happy to cash that one. I was nervous. Again, there was so many times in that whole spot where I was like, that he does not have the car. And yet he continued to keep himself up front, continued to keep himself in the top 5 for a better part of this race. In fact, he didn't finish in the top 5 at the end of either stage, but again, that was more strategy than it was anything else. And once everything cycled back around, he was right there in the front again. So kudos to John Hunter for a hell of a race run.
Yeah, great call by you. Plus 170. Didn't have him to win, unfortunately, but hey, we'll take that again. Just got to be happy with anything you cash on super speedways. So that's just how it goes. I had Parker Kligerman to win Group A at plus 420. He did not cash this, but he looked good throughout the day. Ends up in an 8th place finish. Not a bad finish at all. He was 8th or 9th in stage 2, rather. Just kind of hanging around up there all day. Never really had the chance to win like maybe I thought he would. But he was kind of hanging up there. I don't know why it was hilarious. We'll talk about Austin Hill. I can't wait to talk about that. It's going to be my favorite part of the show. But it was amazing how nobody would ever go with Austin Hill. And I thought Kligerman could be that guy, and he just never did it. But this was Sammy Smith,
Chandler Smith.
Yep, the Smith brothers. Sam Mayer, the number 11, and Riley Herbst. Mayer is the one who finished ahead of him in 5th. Otherwise, he beat everybody else. So, again, these groups, you're just trying to take longer shots, right? At plus 420, beat almost everybody in the group, only a couple spots away from getting Mayer. I guess the 11 finished ahead of him, too, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
His name's blacked out up there, so I just didn't even really see it. But oh well. So he finished. He didn't beat 2 of the guys. But again, you're just throwing darts with these groups. Missed on this one, but again, 8th place, put himself in, or 9th. Where the hell did he finish? 8th place, yes. Put himself in position. That's really all you were looking for. Unfortunately, did not cash that one.
Well, and the call-up guys were all running together all day long anyways, so it would have been tough to break that up. And it was. Obviously, Chandler Smith was the least of that one. He fell out of favor trying to make a move, and he started on the pole. So yeah. Chandler finished 20th in that one. So,
yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, Greg Van Elst found out the hard way that his first Xfinity start was not going to be easy on a super speedway. There was no way he was going to get a top 5. So this was kind of just a hopeful bet. He only finished 62 laps. Really just not a factor the entire
he ended up what I don't know what happened to him. He blew a tire
he got clipped and then
it was. And then it was just damage and then
lost.
I mean, hey, 22-1, like JJ Yaley finished 7th in the Cup race. That's exactly why you're taking these types of bets. Yep. It's not a bad bet. It's fun to do. It's hilarious to laugh at. Be like, I bet on that guy. But he won at Daytona and ARCA earlier this season. You're just throwing darts out there, and it could have gone a much different way for sure. I mean, yeah, you had guys like Kyle Sieg, guys like Josh Williams finished in the top 10. Like, some names made it up there, so it definitely wasn't ridiculous. In heartbreaking fashion, Rod, I had Justin Haley as a top 3 at plus 300, and he finished in 4th place, sadly. Leading at the end of regulation, yet again, another bet to win that I have leading at the end of regulation. Doesn't go so well in overtime for him, unfortunately. Says it stuttered after the race or during the end there, and thought he was running out of fuel. That's why he pulled to the bottom, didn't push his teammate number 11 to the victory. I mean, if that's what happened, then that's what happened, right? So yeah, but finishes 4th, heartbreakingly. Doesn't cash this top 3 at plus 300, but this was cashing until the very, very bitter end. And sad day, but can't win them all, I guess.
Hey, and when you're not a Xfinity Series regular, I mean, really, where do your loyalties lie? I mean, yeah, he's a teammate, but he's not really a teammate. You know what I'm saying?
Even his own teammates don't like the guy. I mean, I'm just saying.
They're like,
I could help my teammate win, but it's number 11. I'm just gonna say I ran out of gas here.
Oh, look at me! I pushed the pedal and nothing happened. I don't know.
It's sputtered, guys. I swear I felt it.
Oh man. All right. Well, we'll get into those two later on in the show, but let's talk about Gibbs over Creed. This one had its moments. This one, Creed was looking every bit as good as he was. 24 laps that he led in this. He won stage 2, and Ty Gibbs got caught up in it, and I thought for sure this was it. Thought, well, that's not going to happen. And
the Sheldon Creed of normal showed up.
Ah, poor guy. And even the broadcast was like, when is your bad luck streak going to end? And he was like, I hope it's now. Nope.
It just, man, this guy's got the worst. I don't know how Ty Gibbs survived. Like, dude was an absolute pinball in both of these races this weekend. I don't know how he ended up with 6th place, but he didn't even need to get 6th. I mean, Creed ends up 35th. Like, again, great throughout the race. Win stage 2. Can't finish races. It happens again. So the only head-to-head on our entire card, and it cashes just like in the Cup Series, because there are certain guys you can circle, especially on these types of tracks, that do not finish these races. That's why we bet against them.
And it was frustrating for Creed because, like I said, he had a good car and he could have stayed up there and he could have ran well. But yeah, credit to Gibbs for being able to stay out on the track longer than 68 laps.
Yeah. I had 2 long shot top 5s, both 18-1. Jeffrey Earnhardt. I don't know if you saw when they flashed by him pre-race. I double took and thought Dale Earnhardt was standing there because he looks so much like his grandpa. I think Dale's his grandpa. Yes, because he's Carrie's son. So he's got the mustache just like him, the hair, everything. I was like, whoa, is that Dale Earnhardt? No, it's not Dale Earnhardt. But he ends up with a 23rd place finish. So. Josh Williams, though, 18-1 for a top 5, finishes in 9th place. Rod, this is what you are looking for. This is it. It didn't cash, no, but I'm so happy because you find guys that can survive to the end and put themselves in position. You're finishing 9th on a super speedway. You're a quarter of a lap from finishing in 5th. You're that close. That's all you're looking for in this type of race. Survive to get there to the end. If we end up going into more overtimes, he could limp that thing home in the top 5. It could have happened. So I would take these bets again. Jeffrey, he survived. He finished the race, right? Which is in itself enough of a feat. Wasn't necessarily as good of a car, but Josh Williams gave me a little glimpse of hope there at the end. And that's what you're looking for when you make these kinds of bets. You go small on them, you throw darts. Cashing an 18-1 there would have been pretty awesome, and we were pretty close.
It's 4 cars running out of gas away from being in the top 5. That's kind of what it is. And they were all fighting the gas there at the end. So who knows?
Yeah. I mean, had we gone into another overtime, Haley obviously is out of gas, and there's other guys up there. I mean, a lot of things could have happened at the end of that. Got him just a little bit closer. Breaking news, Rod. You are really good at these next set of bets.
Well, stop me if you've heard this one before, but I took a winning car number bet, and guess what? It cashed. Winning car number over 18.5. This was only even money. It wasn't as sexy as it probably should have been, but hey, a cashing bet is a cashing bet, right? And yeah, winning car number over 18.5. John Hunter Nemechek in the 20.
The only guy in the top 5 with the number over 18.5 too. Look at that.
My bad. I'm sorry. I should have said under, and then we probably could have cashed something, but oh well.
No, I mean, you nailed it yet again. Don't argue with Rod on these car number bets. He knows what he's talking about. I'm telling you, it's great.
I don't know what it is.
I'm very, very happy with my winner's card, except for maybe one guy. But Justin Haley, 12-1, leading at the end of regulation. Not much more you can ask for, especially at 12-1. I wasn't paying a ridiculous price like $350 or something. So that's good. Riley Herbst, 22-1. Like I said, he won stage 1. He was looking very good. He was looking fast. Got caught up in it. Brandon Jones, 25-1. That's the one where it's kind of he had an day and ended up at the end in that crash as well. And Ryan Sieg, again, we talked about him, 40-1. Wrong place, wrong time, Rod. The super speedway race, and that's what'll happen. But very, very happy with the majority of these guys. All good bets. Sieg showed a strong car. Herbst showed a strong car. Haley showed a strong car. And Jones was kind of in the mix a little bit there throughout the day as well. So, man, just good bets again. Didn't cash any of them, unfortunately, but I would place all 4 of these again and have no problem with it.
Yeah, and again, this is why I'm telling you, we had this race just pretty much zeroed in. Like we had a bullseye for the better part of it. And then of course, super speedway magic happens, but gotta love that because Austin Hill at plus 350 had a shot as well.
How do you feel about this bet, Rod? Would you make this bet again?
I don't know. Yes. I don't know. Like it's so bad. He charged his way through, right? He had a what?
He's the best car by not even close. Best car by far. Best driver by far. Most talented super speedway guy in Xfinity by far. Check. Will I bet plus 350 on a super speedway to win ever? No. I don't care if he would have won this race. I still would say no. You can't do. And you know why, Rod?
Because of what
he
happened.
Didn't win this race. And he said on the radio, what the fuck is going on? Does everyone just want Kaulig to win this race? Because nobody would help. Not a single soul would step out of line and help Austin Hill, because if you help Austin Hill wins this race and you do not have a chance. If you help, even if you're 8 cars behind everybody else, you still have a chance. If Austin Hill's not in front of you, nobody would help the guy. He drove his way through the field. He had to start in the back. He was in 10th place by like lap 4, like ridiculously fast. So freaking good. He's so good here. He's so good at everything. And you don't bet a guy to win a super speedway at plus 350. I can't stress it enough. And this is exactly why, because even though he's so good at so many things, and you could even make the case. I mean, you look at Zane Smith, right? Plus 250 in the Truck Series. Like, even that doesn't cash, but there's so much of a better chance of him winning that race than just one minor thing not going wrong for Hill. And then you add all the things that went wrong for him, and he doesn't get there at the end. Obviously ends up spun out and doesn't get even that. Where did he end up finishing? He's finished 12th, so okay. But yeah, you will never see me bet a guy plus 350 on a super speedway.
And he only led 1 lap in the whole thing. I don't know, Cody. I've learned my lesson.
And the thing is, you're right. Like, he was the best. There's no question. The best car, the best driver. Everything about what he did was the absolute best out there, and nobody else was even close.
Well, we talked about it too.
There's so much more to it.
Yeah, no, and we talked about it too with Stuart Friesen starting way in the back, right, and charging his way to 4th place finish. If Austin Hill would have kept his starting position, right, that's what was a top 10 starting position.
Still don't matter though, because nobody was going to help him. They were going to play against. Like, it's people put way too much into where people start. Oh, Ford's had like 14 of the top 15 cars in the Cup Series and like one finish inside the top 5. It doesn't matter. Like, starting position, 0 impact on how I bet or view, other than DFS is where it'll change, because, and even then you can play anybody, but obviously if you're looking for, for certain builds, but yeah, otherwise does not matter.
No, it doesn't, but fine. But somebody who did have an opportunity to actually win this race and he, I wanted a spit take out of you, Cody.
You almost got it, because I was mid-sip right when he played that.
I know. Yes, so the number 11 car at 22-1, he had that odds boost over there on Caesars to win this race. He was running up front with all of his colleague buddies all day long. And then when it mattered the most, his teammate said, you know what? I'm cool. Oh my God.
Even I don't like,
Oh, what? This gas pedal, it's sticking. I don't get it. I don't know what happened. So, and it makes me wonder though, too, if he would have won, if that number 11 car would have been able to get pushed to victory, because it got dicey at the end anyways. And there was a lot of jockeying anyways. And for John Hunter Nemechek, he knew where he had to be. He knew where he had to go. But yeah, if those 2 collar cars would have stuck together, I wonder if been able to win.
I mean, he definitely had a chance, right? He had put himself in position. Things looked great for him. He looked great. I am really glad he didn't win. If you bet on him, I don't care. I'm glad you didn't win. I fucking hate that guy. He cost me so much fucking money earlier this season. And it was at Atlanta. I think I kept saying it was at Talladega, but I realized after that it was at Atlanta earlier this season. So fuck him. I'm glad he didn't win. But yeah, it's hilarious that his teammate didn't push him at the end. Maybe he did run out of gas. We'll probably never know. I don't know if you can look the data up on that and tell or not, but it is hilarious that he didn't get it. But man, them calling cars, you get them up there together, they're dangerous. We've seen it. We've seen drivers come and go through that program, right? Roz Chastain's, the Jeb Burtons, the AJ Allmendinger. I mean, guy after guy after guy has been in those cars, and they are always find their way up front. It's like the Penske cars. I mean, once they get hooked up front, like watch out. They're so dangerous. Looked good. They mentioned earlier in the broadcast, somebody said that it was his turn to win. They said they had been talking to Chris Rice, I think it was, and if your calling cars get up there, like whose turn is it to win or something, and it's number 11's turn this time, and I'm like, oh fuck, please don't. And then it was lining up perfectly, like with Haley behind him. I'm like, Haley's he's not gonna pass him, right? He's just gonna push him to the win, and they're gonna be happy. They're trophy hunting, all that bullshit, and just pulls up and doesn't cash my top 3 for me, unfortunately, but doesn't put the 11 in victory lane, which always makes me happy.
It glosses over a lot of wrongdoings in that instance. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and put that one in the rear view, because I definitely don't want to talk about that one anymore. Very not happy with it. And we'll turn our attention to the Cup Series in a minute, because I want to introduce you to one of my favorite shows on the network.
Hey, everybody. If you play fantasy football, especially in auction leagues,
or you're a whiskey fan.
Yes, exactly. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast Fantasy Football Channel show, Old Fashioned Football.
Coming to you every Tuesday morning, give us a listen. We'll bring you the latest fantasy football data, including
The injury report,
studs and duds,
waiver wire targets,
and suggested fab.
market movers. After all, we are the Marks.
He is my hubby.
And she's J Mark's wifey.
And we're bringing all this to you while drinking an old fashioned and giving you our honest review of a different whiskey every week.
All that and more. Hop on over, give us a listen, come for the football, stay for the whiskey.
This ad's almost done.
Going once, going twice.
Sold.
I'm sorry, Cody. I'm getting word from the weather department that there is rain in the area. We're going to have to cut this show short, one series. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, have a great one.
Have a great one. It's so frustrating, man, to get what is it?
Though it made it so much, like, because the rain was coming, it made it so much more intense. It ramped up the intensity early. They didn't have to make it to the end of stage 2. Once you got to the 130 lap mark, that was going to be it. And so, like, it was like, go, go, go now. Nobody knew when it was going to come. We know how these storms work, right? Sure, the rain's a little behind, but the lightning gets here early. You didn't know what was going to happen, and that made it so. I heard, man, I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck on the teardown talking about they should maybe just make it random and, like, during the race, like, spin a wheel and be like, okay, there's 5 laps to go at this point. Like, it was great. Like, it worked out so good. Like, obviously you don't do that every week, but I think not knowing when the end was going to be made this race what it was, which was so exciting. I know people were upset. Why, after that last caution, why didn't they get it started again? And by that point, there was reports of rain. They didn't want a replay of Daytona last year, although that worked out nicely for us, 30-1 for Austin Dillon. But I think they did everything they could do appropriately, right? And it worked out. They made it past halfway, and we got extra, right? We thought maybe it'd be here right at halfway. We got all the extra. You get the strategies playing out. Keselowski decides to pit. McDowell stays out. Now I think McDowell's either in the playoffs or just outside of the play. Like, so many things affected from how it played out. The bets didn't go the greatest. It happens, but the race was absolutely amazing. The intensity, I was literally on the edge of my seat, like, not just I was on the edge of, like, I was literally sitting up, and I'm like, oh my god, wow! And my wife's like, why do you keep I'm like, there they go, oh, how'd they not wreck? Like, every time, like, you'd see somebody start to bobble when Reddick got all squirrely, you're like, oh, here it comes, and then or somebody would get sideways, you're like, oh, the big one, and then only 2 cars wreck, and it was like, oh wow, how'd everybody avoid, like, in every single lap it was just like, oh, here it comes, oh, I kept saying, oh, they're about to wreck, oh, here it comes, oh, they're gonna wreck, oh, how do they not wreck, oh, what's, like, it was so intense, and I absolutely loved it. Again, from a betting perspective, that's why you approach these races how you do. It's mostly long shots. You go light, you expect to lose it all. For this reason, But man, it was such an exciting race. I absolutely enjoyed every second of it.
And more often than not, we really have to separate the entertainment value from the betting value, because again, on this show, obviously we talk about the betting. So when the bets don't cash, you thought, this race sucked. But no, honestly, it was a good race. And unfortunately, yeah, you're right. The bets.
Well, and that's why the approach we try to take, and we stressed it all week last week, right, was go light on these super speedway races. Anything can happen. But at the same time, you make it fun. You put those bets out there because there's guys that have chances to cash. And so when you come to this show, it's either, yeah, we didn't cash any bets, but that's what we expected. Or it's, dude, we hit this bet and we hit that bet and we hit this long shot. Like, it's a win-win either way because of how you approach this specific style of racing. And that's why it's one of my favorite ones to bet on, because I don't care as much when I lose like I do on other tracks. And it, and the racing, again, it was so intense. It was so good. So many storylines, so many different guys that had chances. Guys were firing live bets left and right because there was 10 different guys within a lap that you'd be like, oh, he's coming here. Look at that guy or this guy. And it was, I think, overall, great experience. The betting side of things, again, it's the super speedway race, and is really what it boils down to.
18 lead changes in this. So yes, there was a lot of action in the front. But before we get to the betting card, Cody, I want to say the random wheel of DFS was unfreaking defeated. Cody, 5 of the 6 cars finished inside the top 12.
Was amazing. I mean, how we pulled that, how the wheel pulled that off, I have no idea. That was easily the best lineup that I entered on the weekend. Of course, I just put it into a small contest. I did finish second out of 118 people in that contest. 270.10 points. For that lineup, it was great. I mean, again, really everybody scored well for you. Like, who was our worst finisher was Ty freaking Dillon in 19th. 12th. Like, yeah. And,
not 12th.
19th. But
19th. That's
and JJ Yaley scores the 7th place. Like, and I placed a bet on JJ Yaley right before the race for a top 3 finish, which, that would have been great. Hopefully you're following me on Twitter, because hopefully to have that sweat. And I joked about it beforehand. Our buddy Gindy was talking about who's he going to take for his one and done. And I'm like, JJ Yaley, you got to take JJ Yaley this week, right? And I was like, I'm more so just joking, but that's why you take a guy like that. Like, look what he did. It's just, man, so much fun. But I almost wonder, the random wheel for sure has to be a thing on super speedways, Rod. But
yes,
we might have created a new game where we just randomly select drivers and then either make a case for or against them from now on.
That might actually be good just for
we
might
be workshopping the DFS show right here.
I like that idea, because again, it came out with 5 of the 6 guys in a fantastic.
And all 6 really, because if you get to the end and not one of your guys has the red upside down car, like, that in itself is a win.
Well, and listen, Ty Dillon started 27th, finished 19th. There's some place differential in there for sure for a guy who we were talking about was like $40-something $100. So yeah, I gotta love that as well. Okay, bets, Cody. We actually did not do. We did. I don't know. We didn't do good in this one. Unfortunately, a couple of them hit.
Yeah, and there's just so many things that had chances to. Again, super speedway betting, we can breeze through it quickly. There's 2 commandments when it comes to super speedway racing. 1, you go light, you go easy, you have fun with it, right? 2, you fade Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson sucks at super speedways. I don't know how many times I could say it over and over again. He's going to look good at points throughout the race. And I even a little bit to myself said, fuck, did I fuck it up here? And then Kyle Larson on super speedways does what Kyle Larson on super speedways always does. Again, I love Kyle Larson. He is probably the greatest driver on the planet right now. He can get into any kind of car, anywhere, and do anything except for super speedways. 1 top 5 finish in his career. Yet again, he fucked it up. I had William Byron over him, -110. Easily cashed. Obviously, Byron wins the race. Larson, one of the first drivers eliminated from the race. Just Kyle Larson does Kyle Larson things on super speedways. Yeah, he finished 36 out of 37 cars. He finds a way to, whether it's his fault or it's not his fault. A lot of times it's not even his fault. This time it kind of was. I mean, he just kind of lost it. But man, it's one of the most reliable bets you can make is fading Kyle Larson on super speedways.
And you did, and you cashed. So yeah, again,
And
it was
surprise being the most reliable bet. That's the one I cashed.
Yeah, and even Kyle too, to his credit, he said the same thing. He was like, a lot of times I blame other people for it, but this one was on me. I definitely should have done things differently. But whatever, Kyle, you cashed this bet for us. Thank you very much. Ross Chastain, top 3 car, next, please.
Got caught up in it, right? It's just
got caught up in it, but he also didn't help himself at all. He was not making friends this race. He was not the calm, cool.
Whoa, Ross Chastain not making friends? What are you talking about?
He was one of 3 cars to not finish this race. He started 30th, finished 35th. But again, in the process, he was getting antsy. When he starts that far in the back, he does not like to play nice. And he was just not really playing nice with people. And obviously, he got caught up in it, but he wasn't doing himself any favors. So a top 3 was never in his cards for this day.
Yeah. And quick shout out to Trackhouse too. They won the last 2 races with 2 different drivers, and Daniel Suarez gets second place in this race, a 3rd different driver. Like, their program, love it right now. It's been great. I had the number 43, Eric Jones. Also,
wait, hold on. Wait, who did you have?
I had
hold on. And you had who?
I had yes, for a top 10 plus 175, top 5 of plus 475. I did not realize he was going to be in the wrecking ball this week. If so, I might have changed this. He did finish 11th, 1 spot out of cash in the top 10. He's good at super speedways. I don't know what his deal was today. He caused multiple incidents, which was unfortunate, but that's how it goes.
Yeah. And for him to be able to still pull out an 11th place finish, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not bad.
Despite, he wrecked out most of the cars that finished behind him, but other than that, hey, as long as you get close, right?
And we talked about it could be a good spot for Legacy to actually turn itself around and finish well. And so, again, that's hard.
And I mean, again, if this race goes a couple more laps, when you finish 11th, like the way things were changing and shaking here, if it's a couple more laps before that wreck, McDowell likely runs out of gas. I think Allmendinger was close. JJ Yaley was ahead of him. He could have passed him. Like, he could have easily got in the top 10 here and quickly into the top 5 as well, just depending on when it ended. And we'd be singing a different tune, right? You'd be cashing a plus 475 on his top 5, and it wouldn't look so bad. So it's, again, that's super speedway racing. That's why you make these types of bets. You go light on them, and this didn't cash this time, but maybe you get it back next time.
We finished this race. I mean, that's another thing in there as well. So,
right.
All right. I had Tyler Reddick as a top 5 car. Tyler Reddick was not a top 5 car. Tyler Reddick was a 27th place car at the end of this, and he started 12th and was never, he was a top 10 car at the end of stage 1, not at the end of stage 2. This was just not Tyler Reddick's day. I mean, he was not running around the front at all, and it was a frustrating day for him. And
he had that one amazing save. That was a great save. I don't know how he saved that car, but other than that, that was about the highlight of his day, unfortunately. I had Justin Haley, again, in this series as well. I had him at plus 50 to win Group D. Allmendinger, McDowell, Briscoe. Briscoe does Briscoe things, and Briscoe ended up with it 22nd. Not a bad finish at all. But obviously, Allmendinger, McDowell rolled the strategy. They finished 3rd and 4th, so they easily won this group. But Haley, 8th place. He was leading this race. Gosh, was he leading this race at the caution before that, or so? At some point, he was up front. He had his opportunity to win this race, even, I think, and looked good again at plus 450 to win a group. I would take this again. If it's not for the strategy by those 2 guys, I think he probably finishes 6th and wins this group. So you're not that far off. If it goes 5 more laps, if it goes 10 more laps, those guys run out of gas. He's winning this group. We get to the end of the race, maybe he wins. Like, again, this was not a bad bet. I would make this bet again. It didn't cash, but again, it's just, I can't stress enough that this is just how super speedway racing goes. You want to find guys to bet on that put themselves in position. 8th place, he put himself in position. He was there. That's all you're asking for on these types of bets. None of these ones fell our way this time. The gambling gods got us, though, and they'll get us back next time.
Yeah, they will. They'll give us a good pat on the back and set us back on the right track. Yeah, look, they were like, listen, you hit a 7-1 in trucks. We're going to take it all away from you in the cup. So
Pretty much.
wow. Yeah. All right. I had all of the following to finish in the top 10: Bowman, Chastain, and Busch. I mean, Bowman was the only one that looked like it was going to happen for, because Busch was not a factor all day long. And then we talked about Chastain not necessarily being a factor as well. Bowman in the 48 was fighting around that whole spot. Ultimately winds up in 27th position, but only because, again, it was all about the strategy. 26th position, rather. 27th was Tyler Reddick. So, I mean, look, Chastain would have killed this one already. Busch, not even close to he finished in 5th, so he was the only one that got there, but like that was all strategy too. He started in 22nd, was running around that area the whole damn time. Wasn't in the top 10 in either of the two stages at the end of it. So that was all strategy call for Kyle Busch, but it doesn't matter. He got in the top 10. The other two did not.
Yeah, it might be really close to time to hit the panic button for Alex Bowman. He's fallen 44 points out of the playoffs now. We don't have that many races left before the playoffs start, Rod. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only 7 races left in the regular season. We could potentially have 2 Hendrick cars miss the playoffs. The way things are right now, they would both miss. Again, they both missed time this year, so obviously that's why. But it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that. But again, plus 400, you're trying to find guys that can get up there and do it. Top Toyota, I would play this one again the same way. Again, my plan was take 2 of the longest shot guys, make this a small group. They only have to beat 4 other guys. And to my point, so I took Bubba and Gibbs, and it did not play out for these guys how I had hoped it would, but it played out. The situation played out how I thought it would, right? The top Toyota was 14th place for Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin was sideways to the grass at one point. He ended up being the favorite. Yes, he ended up winning the group, but things could happen. He ends up sideways with Alex Bowman in that wreck. Things could have got worse. He could have got more damage there. Could have put him out of the race. If that put him out of the race, Christopher Bell in 23rd was the next best guy for Toyota. So, and then Bubba ends up 25th, and Gibbs ended up getting wrecked out. And, well, I guess technically he was running at the end, but last car running in 34th, he got caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time in that LaJoy wreck, unfortunately. But again, I think this is the way you play this. And if they continue to price these at super speedways this way, you just take 2 longer shot Toyotas, you put them in there. And Gibbs and Bubba both had their flashes throughout the day. I don't think either one was necessarily going to win. They didn't necessarily get all the way up front. But with it being Hamlin and all the way back in 14th place, and then you got to go to 23rd for the next Toyota, like that was exactly the type of strategy I was trying to play on this bet. So again, another bet that doesn't cash, but another bet that I would place again and will probably place again if given the opportunity at the next super speedway race.
I mean, Bubba he actually was in the front there, especially at the end of the second stage where he finished in, 6th place there at the end of stage 2. So he was up there with Martin Truex for a second too. Yep. So yeah, this one had a shot. Unfortunately, he couldn't keep it up there at the front. So speaking of somebody that did keep it up there at the front, Daniel Suarez, baby, winner of Group E at plus 270. This was kind of a no-brainer. I know, like I said, Cody, I'm sorry, LaJoy was in this one, but it was LaJoy, Cindric, and Stenhouse. Daniel Suarez played the cards right.
Cindric looked so good all day. He did a great job.
Yeah. And yeah, that number 2 car was one of the better cars. And of course, we called it out on the DFS show. He finished 12th. Really solid finish for that 2 car. But Daniel Suarez got the better of all of those guys at plus 270. Good for Daniel. I mean, he was looking strong there at the end of the race. Not sure that he would have beat William. In fact, AJ was the one that we were all cheering for to beat William at the end there. But unfortunately, neither one of them could get William, Byron. But Daniel Suarez comes in, respectable second place finish on the strategy call. Don't know what would have happened if this race would have gone longer, but it didn't. We cashed this bet, and we thank the gods for at least that one.
Yeah, right place, right time in this one, right? A lot of times it's wrong place, wrong time. This was right place, right time. Was he up front all day? No. Was he one of the cars all day? No. Did he finish second place? Yes, he did. Does this bet cash? Yes, it does. You take it when it cashes. and that's just how it goes. Speaking of LaJoy, I had a gamut of bets on him. Obviously, wrong place, wrong time. Got caught up in it. He was showing his flashes early a little bit. He was top 10 at the end of stage 2-ish there, which was kind of what you were looking for. Looking for him to climb his way up in there and then do battle. And Eric Jones happened, and none of these cashed.
Yeah, unfortunately, all of the LaJoy bets were voided right after that. So unfortunately, but again, you're going to do it again at the next super speedway.
I
You're going
absolutely
to.
will. I will be back on the train. I did not like how many people were talking about him leading into Sunday. It made me feel queasy. He was way too public. I like the days of me being the only one or one of the few people on him at 200-1 to win, like I had last year. He became very popular. The broadcast was talking about him before the race. I'm like, just please be quiet. Don't let's not talk about my secret weapon here. And then things imploded from there. So maybe the steam will be off and he'll just win Daytona and sneak into the playoffs at the end of the regular season here.
One can only hope. And then we'll see what his odds are at that point, and we'll all see.
You can just place that bet as soon as you see it, because I will be giving it out again.
All right. All to finish in the top 5 was my next bet. Elliott, Hamlin, Truex. All of them were in the top 5 at one point. None of them finished inside the top 5 at the end of the race. So just throw that one out the door. But that was a 30-1. And Truex and Hamlin were up there at the front for most of the race. To be honest with you, it was them kind of jockeying around. Hamlin, not so much, but he was there. Right. And then Truex was definitely there for a long time of this race. He was making charges up front, man. That dude looked fast at the top of the racetrack.
Yeah, whatever he figured out at the top of the very high there, he was making it work.
Yeah. But none of them top 5 finished. So that 30-1 definitely was just, I don't know. It was a fun one, but didn't cash.
Yeah. Again, you sprinkle. These are, at least 2 of these guys are really good at super speedways. We didn't see as much from Elliott as we are used to seeing on super speedways. He's kind of just off. I don't know what happened there. And then Hamlin had his troubles, obviously ended up spinning, still got a decent finish. Truex had his flashes as well. Winners, I had Elliott again, just kind of so-so. I had Bubba 25-1, kind of so-so. Gibbs at 30-1. He was a pinball weekend. Austin Hill 66-1. Looked great on Saturday. But that was about it. He just caught up early. He was the first car out of the race. And then this one, Rod, the Quinella I gave out at the end of Blaney Brad, 40-1. This one had a legit chance. I would like to go back and see how many laps these 2 guys were running first and second for, because there was a period of time it was either Brad and Cindric or Brad and Blaney were 1-2 throughout a good portion of that race. Brad Keselowski, painstakingly close again to getting it done. He's on an 80 race winless streak now. Man, I want so badly to see him get into victory lane. He's going to be so relieved and so happy at the same time. Sad for him, but man, this Quinella would have been fun, because that quickly changes things. If that rain comes out earlier while Brad or Blaney is leading this and they end up finishing 1-2, like, all of a sudden we hit a 40-1 bet, and that changes the entire tone of how this betting card worked out, right? So that's the fun and the pain of super speedway betting. That's how it goes. And here we are.
I was holding my breath the whole time for that Quinella. I was like, oh my God. It's like,
that's when I was doing a hell of a rain dance at that point.
All right. Well, I had Chastain to win. We talked about the fact that he had no chance. And then Cole Custer to sort of 66-1 it, and there was no way Cole Custer was going to win that race.
Top 10 at the end there for a little bit, and then
for a little bit
ended up on pit road for some reason. I don't even know what happened, but
he finished 32nd, unfortunately, for Cole Custer. His
it's amazing how quickly it goes downhill.
We talked about just how quickly it went downhill for guys like Kyle Larson and Austin Hill. It's the same thing with Cole Custer. Respectable day for him to at least be out there and running around and getting a chance again. But unfortunately just couldn't turn his day even better. So let's close the book on Atlanta. Rain shortened day for just good racing, bad betting, whatever. At least we'll turn now to New Hampshire. hopefully a little less chaotic, a little more predictable, and we'll have some fun. 2 series in action next week. No trucks. It's just Xfinity and Cup. But of course, they are both in New Hampshire for the Crayon 301 for the Cup and the Ambetter Health 200 for Xfinity. A lot of fun over there in New Hampshire. Gotta love that track. And we'll hopefully have some more fun and cash some more bets, hopefully.
Yes, the good news, the rain package is in play this week. So if they need it, I don't think they're going to race in the rain still on an oval, but on a wet surface. So it'll likely just rain nonstop all day long, so they can't race. So look forward to that. But SRX starting up this weekend, Rod. We'll definitely have to be talking about them. Hopefully there will be some odds out by our Friday show, and we could address that. That will be a lot of fun. They got a ton of Cup Series guys driving in that series this week.
And Haley Deegan.
Yes, Haley Deegan's back. This year they've got Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick, and then a lot of the legends are back. I mean, there's a ton of huge names in SRX again this season. And we had some bets on them last year, actually. That was a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that a little. And the IndyCar takes on Toronto this weekend. So hopefully they'll actually give us some odds earlier in the week this week. We'll see on that. But would love to hopefully talk about that. But stay tuned for odds and bets at some point somewhere.
Sorry, I was feverishly looking up the New Hampshire weather as you were speaking.
You know what, Rod? I don't even want to know because it doesn't matter. Whatever they say, it's wrong.
Okay.
I hope it says 100,000,000% chance of rain because that's the only chance that it won't rain.
That's true. Well, fine. Okay. I got scattered thunderstorms, 51% chance of rain on Saturday, 58% chance of scattered thunderstorms on Sunday. Rain in July. It's stupid.
I'm tired of weather, people. My daughter, quick aside, my daughter's been begging to go camping. She loves camping. I like to go camping with her. We finally had like the first time in a while where it worked out. I'd have to work in the morning. We didn't have stuff going on. Like, all right, we're going to go camping this night. And I'm watching the weather and like this just huge like storm is like coming right towards us, like dark red. It was like purple in the middle. It was going to rain so hard. And then like not a single fucking drop all night. And we didn't camp because we thought it was just going to be storming the whole night. And I'm like, you motherfuckers don't have any idea what you're talking about, do you?
Oh man. I mean, listen, I don't know either anymore. All I know is in California, it's sunny and I just get to enjoy nice sunny days. All right.
Yeah.
So let's go enjoy some nice sunny days, shall we? Let's turn everybody loose and we'll get you guys ready for New Hampshire over the course of the week. But yeah, in the meantime, Cody, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on social media?
Follow me on Twitter at @Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my work over there. I've got a ton of stuff out right now. So check it all out over there. Join us in the Discord if you're not already over there. It's a fun time. We have a great time over there with all those people. Shout out to you. And leave us some ratings, reviews. We'd appreciate all that. And subscribe to that YouTube channel as well.
That's true. We are fans of what you write about us. We love it. We love to read it. We love to see it. So do more of it. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. There's a link in the bottom, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's in between media, or of course for frequency's sake. Check all that out as well. Be back tomorrow setting up some Cup Series action for you and having some fun in New Hampshire. So until then, let's go racing and let it ride.